Okay, well, welcome to this week's Skore user drop-in session. Today we're talking about business tools, in particular looking at how you can use the scope settings. So as usual, I'm going to do a bit of scene setting, not too much, and then in this session it really is looking at the application, looking at this feature. We'll dig around, we can take questions as we go through, or you can save them to the end. And I don't foresee this being an overly long session, so we will have some time if you've got any other questions about this or any other features. So you've got us for the full half hour if you wish. As in true drop-in style, if you've got questions that you've been saving up, haven't been reaching out to support, this is your time. So quite quickly, as you know, Skore's process mapping, analysis and management. This is really looking at the analysis side of the tool. So if you've sat down with your SMEs, you've sat down with the process experts and owners in your business and understood what those end-to-end flows are, you're then able to add lots of more information onto it. Yeah, and this is by no means a holistic list, but it could be quite as simple as we're putting in the roles and responsibility matrix onto the process or linking off to documents. Really, really common to actually add what systems are being used today or what will be used in the future. So with Skore, you're building up this kind of this architectural model, layering on that information over your processes, using processes as that framework to hang all this information on. If you're using Skore, you know how powerful that can be. And again, this is just the flavour of all the sorts of things, all the sorts of data that people will be adding onto a process. Why would we be looking at analytics and scope and the like? And again, this is just to introduce the concepts that you will know, but it's all about answering those questions. One of my favourite quotes is, people don't process map just for the hell of it. There's always a reason. That reason is normally to answer some sort of question that either they have against their business or someone else. So it'd be things, you'll get questions from project stakeholders. Again, just picking out a couple of common examples we see. You've got process improvement teams, be it a centre of excellence or not, and they're looking at the information that's building up in Skore, and they'll be asking different questions about owners, what state the processes are in terms of maturity. Do we have processes process reviews in place? If so, what they're looking like. And also the different other stakeholders around the business, like IT, for example. Is very, very common for them to get involved in a project and start to look at what systems are being used or who needs access to it. Or I'm sure you've heard of the term shadow IT. Actually, as you're mapping out, being able to quickly pull out information about what systems are being used, maybe those non-rubber stamp systems as well. It's a great way of just getting that information out of Skore. And then the how, which is what we're here for today, really, is does anyone remember the previous version of Skore? Anyone use that in anger? No. This is a little screenshot. It seems like a distant memory for myself. I know Hamza joined the company when it was all about Spinnaker, really, and the latest version that you're looking at. But I'm sure you've had experience of looking at that. It was very much looking at the analytics. You remember these tabs, against a process. It was very much looking at a process. That's the scope. So we didn't have scope settings. And now in Skore, one of the big benefits that Spinnaker, the code name, Spinnaker's the code name product for the product, was around being able to expand out from here. So there's me teasing you with that. And the first bit of scope setting I'm going to show you is actually looking at the business tools from a process. So this is kind of what it was, but in Spinnaker. So you can see we've got a hierarchy of processes, as you know and love. Renaming the analytics now to become business tools, because it's now sitting above just looking at the analytics. So if I click on the business tools here, I can quickly jump into any one of these. I'll just focus on roles just for the fun of it. So we've pre-selected the scope of our reports by coming from the process. So this is looking at the process, and if I scroll down, if I click on one of these, it's still going to look similar to us if we were expanding the scope, but it's just against this process here. So all the places where it will be looking at it from a process layer, it will just show the one process. So you don't have any you can filter some settings about showing hidden and merged roles, but we're not looking. It's not, the scope selector doesn't apply here because we're looking at one process. If I look at the business tools up here, the little drop down, which I can quickly jump for this process, I can quickly jump to the workspace. Yeah, quite handy. So if you're showing a group of people or you're digging into the data and you want to quickly expand it, I can click on here, and now this is showing me. So basically, I've gone from one process to now everything in my workspace, which both views are very powerful. But I'd argue probably, I don't know, 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 10, I don't know what the exact number would be, that the magic's going to come somewhere in between. Yeah, again, going back to those questions, you know, I want help answering one of those questions. So that's really where the scope selector comes in, and you'll see the scope selector is the same regardless of what we're looking at in terms of the business tools on the left here. So let's have a quick look and a bit of a chat around some of these when I will play with some of the data in my demo workspace. So you can see here, we'll go through these one by one. The simplest way is to select a process. So I could come into procure to pay, filter down, procure to pay, save that, away we go. Yeah, and you're going, yeah, but why are we doing that, Chris, when I could just come from the process and get to the same end goal? If I go back in here, the whole point of this is you can select, you know, multiple processes. Yeah, and that's the point of it. So you can build that list up if you really want to go through specific processes. Say I want to look at the systems across these 5 processes, and you just want to explicitly go in. That's the way you do it. Alternatively, depending on how you set up your workspace, you can search for folders. Yeah, so I can come into something like finance. Yeah, save that. And again, that will do that. So again, it's showing me what I've selected up here, so I can clear it individually. I can clear the scope altogether on here, but this is starting to just filter down these processes. So actually, that's not going to work there. So you can start seeing finance in here, and we can have a look at what we're doing. I've got more than one process in the. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you can see I've got a few processes in here now. It's worth mentioning with the folders, if I come back to my workspace, you'll see here I've got a folder with nested folders in. If you're using the folders to whittle down the scope, you'll need to explicitly add all of these folders. It won't cascade down. Yeah. So yeah, if I wanted to reduce the scope for everything in this projects folder, I'd have to select 4 of those folders in essence, yeah, to make sure I'm getting everything. Okay. So folders are a really common one, especially people that have departments or projects or whatever like that in there. And this is quite a nice little lead on to a couple of other features in Skore. So what tags let you do? Again, let me come back to my workspace here. You've got a little option up here, filter by tags. It lets you, sounds silly here, it lets you tag your processes, yeah, with some predefined tags. So you can see here, our process architecture doesn't have any. This one has a landing page tag on here. I can come in here and look at process tags. I can add tags in here. Yeah, so I could say I want this is going to be a landing page, and this is also going to be a architecture one as well. Yeah, so I can create it on the fly, and then that's going to be tagged on there as well. Save that, and away we go. Yeah, so people use these for all sorts of different things. Some will sort of tag as is and to be's, funny enough, or versions depending on project timelines or like, or they use departmental tags, or lots of different use cases. So you can kind of see how actually coming in here, selecting the scope and not using finance but using something like tags might be a really good option to filter down those reports. So you can see architecture is now part of it. Away we go. Yeah, so I can go architecture, save, and away we go. Yeah, so these are all of a sudden, as you would expect in a process which is very high level, yeah, it's all C suite and the like. So tags are really cool for doing that. The other one, this is another feature, around process ownership. I am sure all of you on the call are religiously assigned process owners to your processes. Yeah, nods. Yeah, So again, have a process owner, doesn't have a process owner. It's a nice little thing here. Or you can explicitly come down and say, show me all the processes, report, filter down by all of my processes, or this particular one. Really, really useful if you do have that kind of hub and spoke center of excellence model to go and say, not check up on people, but filter down those reports based on a process owner. Very similar to the publication status, yeah. So if it's published or awaiting approval, you can start to look at some of those information. So not uncommon to want to sort of say, well, show me all the systems that are being used on all our published content. Yeah, because by implication, published means it's out there, it's the most up-to-date version, and you're not adding all the kind of what ifs and playgrounds and the like. Really, really good things to do. And then the last two should be hopefully most of it's self-explanatory, but even more so this. It's just a way of adding. Yeah, so process name contains, I don't know, expenses. Brilliant. Add that in there. Great. Yeah, we've got that information in here. So it's just a way of filtering down that. So you've got some really powerful tools in terms of selecting the scope. It's persistent. So if I come into analytics, yeah, it stays. Yeah, if I come out, go back in, it stays. It's on the reporting as well. Again, this isn't a sort of deep dive into all the powerful analytics we have, but it's just to show you all the scope settings are throughout the whole business tools basically. So yeah, so a really neat way, a massive leap forward in terms of what we had before. And again, a really great way. I don't know what come out of that. Really great way of starting to answer some of these questions. To really kind of give you this information on tap. Yeah, rather than having to go and slice and dice Excel spreadsheets together, or try and pull this information forward. Well, thanks for joining. So I did warn you it was going to be a short and sweet session, but no, we look forward to seeing you in the meantime. Come prepared if you've got some questions next week, or reach out to us on support or one of the team if you've got any questions in the meantime. Yeah, nothing else to say other than enjoy the rest of your day.